One of you guys a few months ago in the comments stated that Graham Oppy was one of the hard-hitting atheists out there that I needed to sink my teeth into. And so I finally got around to looking up a video from Capturing Christianity. The title was Graham Oppy, PhD, on Standards of Success for Theistic Arguments. And there's a little 4-minute clip here. And so some of Oppy's wisdom flows through. And to be honest, when I first heard the first couple of moments of the video, I was like, oh, we're on the same page. And then it hit me. I was like, wait, no, we're not even close to being on the same page. We see things from opposite ends of the spectrum, which is one of the reasons I heavily disagree with most atheists, is because they're approaching things from the wrong direction. Well, so here he is asked the question directly: what standards of success do you think are appropriate for theistic arguments? Must they rationally compel belief? And if so, why? Pretty heavy-hitting question there. And so he answers this, pretty succinctly. And he says, one clearly successful argument, or a clearly successful argument, is one that takes a bunch of things that belong to the other person's worldview and show that they are inconsistent. Right? This, and he goes on later to say, is the gold standard for arguments and the only standard. He says all of these things together. So he lays down that you need to really point out a bunch of inconsistencies in the other person's worldview, and that is the gold standard for proving them wrong, and it is the only standard. This just absolutely doesn't work. There's a better way to do that I will address here in just a few moments. But no, pointing out somebody's inconsistencies in their thought and thinking doesn't win an argument. And this is something that Christians point out all the time. It's like there is more to this. There are other things besides the argument going on, like a person's free will, like their wants and their decisions, like honesty and dishonesty. There's a lot of things really going on. This isn't just, these are the deductive lines of logic, and this is all that matters, and this is all that is really going on, because that is not all that's going on. But Graham reveals this. Oh, I love it. I love when atheists, spill out what they're really thinking. Because right after his statement, he makes this statement. So for context, he's asked a question, and then he responds with, a clearly successful argument is one that takes a bunch of things that belong to the other person's worldview and shows that they're inconsistent. Right? He said, just shortly after this, that gives that person work to do. Not that they have to, or not that they straight away have to. And that last little bit there is more summarized. He just let the cat out of the bag. He said, he later says in the video, we can tolerate inconsistencies for long periods of time. There are ways of partitioning inconsistencies, which Christopher Hitchens would call cognitive dissonance. He just let all of the cat out of the bag. So you're in an argument with someone and you present their inconsistencies to them. Graham Oppy says, once your inconsistencies are handed to you, that is the gold standard. That is the only way of winning an argument. And you put a lot of inconsistencies towards them, and all of a sudden it's just going to, shatter everything. It's going to break down the argument. You're going to win the argument. Except then he states that they don't have to do anything with it. And they don't have to do anything with it immediately. And then there are ways of partitioning off these inconsistencies from the rest of your thinking. This is absolutely what I have been saying forever. I am so thankful that Graham Oppy stepped forward and actually said it. The number one problem with atheist thinking is this chosen partitioning system. They never take the inconsistencies that are handed to them on platters and apply it to the rest of their thoughts. They always partition it. It's just like a hard drive. It's like, this is my quadrant of thinking over here. This is my quadrant of thinking of this scenario. This is my quadrant of thinking for over here. And never shall these cross paths, because if they do, then I will see that it's inconsistent and not logical. So the better path that I actually offer, if you are a debater and you are trying to point out inconsistencies in another person's worldview, you don't just go by pointing out, oh, you have this inconsistency and you have that inconsistency, etc. Because that's all they're going to do is partition it off. So what I personally like to do is to get into their belief system and get them to state the things that they actually believe and get the consistencies, and then say, oh, well, you believe this consistency A, and this consistency B, and this consistency C. Do you see how now? And then you tear down the partition for them, and you marry those two thoughts together, and you say, this isn't consistent with the next part that you believe. That is the better way to do it. On the receiving end, if you are the one that is receiving the data that shows that you're inconsistent, something that you have to do is be willing to receive the data that shows that you're inconsistent. Then you need to be honest about it, and then don't live with the inconsistency. Graham Oppy said, we could partition this off. We can live with these inconsistencies for long periods of time. I cannot live that way. I refuse to live that way. I will not live that way. I am going to be honest with the facts and truths that are handed to me. This is one of the reasons every time someone says something about, you're not qualified to do this, or you haven't really researched, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Because when an inconsistency is handed to me, I don't partition it off in my mind and just pretend it doesn't exist. I actually go and search and dig and dig and dig and then find the answer. And I'm like, oh, that's so relaxing, because everything in my belief system is founded upon the truth. And why wouldn't you want the same position in your life?